Coming up, it's our second ever guest on the Mall Street Journal. It's Bill Baker. What's the state of USA rugby right now? What can we look forward to? And what needs to happen before a Rugby World Cup hits our shores? Stick around to find out. This is the Mall Street Journal. Hello and welcome to the Mall Street Journal, the podcast that brings you all the latest news and reviews for all things American rugby. We are part of the Global Gainline Network and can be found on all your usual platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. So if you haven't already, give us a like or a subscribe. Today is our second ever guest. I'm thrilled to announce Bill Baker, his first appearance on the show, probably maybe the first of many, I'm hoping. Bill, how the heck are you doing today?
Wonderful, man. Thanks for having me. Second guest ever. Woohoo!
Yeah.
I mean, I'll
Dallin
take
Stanford was first, Dallin, and then Bill.
it. Well, yeah, Dallon's a great guest. Absolutely.
Yeah, he always is. You pretty much just get out of his way. That's my job with Dallin.
Legend.
Bill, I'm friends with yours. I see you at Fort Quincy. I see you around. Am I going to be seeing you at the winter party for the Free Jacks coming up in December?
That is the plan. If work schedule doesn't get in the way, which doesn't seem like it will, I will definitely see you way down in Canton, I believe it is, which,
Yes.
was
We
a
can
fun
go to the
trip.
Football Hall of Fame. Oh, not that Canton.
No.
Well, you and I have known each other for quite a while now, but the listeners probably don't know. Like, tell us about your own rugby journey. Here we are in America trying to grow awareness of this game. It's obviously a big part of your life. How did you discover it, or how did it discover you?
Just like most Americans, right? College. Went to a party, old buddies of mine, like, Bill, you played football, you did this and that. You got to come out and play some rugby with us. We're going to have a blast. And, after a few drinks, it's like, yeah, let's go. And pretty much the very next day, I went out to a training, had a blast, and literally 2 days later, I was playing my first match. No,
Wow.
no idea what I was doing. A small college in New Hampshire. I got my butt kicked. And after the match, of course, the third half, had a great time with the other team and with my new teammates. And I was like, yeah, I'm hooked. I don't care
This
that we
was
just
worth getting my
lost
butt
really
kicked.
big and cut myself up bad and maybe a notch down in the old ego railing as far as me being an athlete. But I was hooked, man, and just took off from there. I 4 years in college in New Hampshire. I ended up being a back. I was a center. Moved on to loose forward position in the men's level. Moving down to Atlanta. Played for Life for a very short time. Then switched over to Old
Oh,
White, who just recently won the D2 championship, national championship, and also celebrated their 50th anniversary recently as well. So it's a club that has some great roots in Atlanta. Has brought over some great talent over the years. I made it about as far up to the ITTs back in the 90s. The interterritorial select, what do you call it, competitions were happening, and that was a big area where USA Eagles would send their selectors, send their coaches, and go, okay, let's go see what's going on. So it would be the South versus the West, Northeast versus Midwest, and one of them I did was down in Tampa. And it was one of those things you're like, all right, whoa, all right, hey, there's Jack Clark, there's whoever else from the USA coaching staff, and yeah, I didn't make the team, but but I got there
their
to the
loss.
South,
Their loss.
and yeah, just I mean that was my playing career. Played over Scotland for a short time, played all over the country. Played D1 for a short time, mostly D2, and from there. But that's my playing experience, at least.
It's amazing how many people tell a very similar story. It's, I saw a sign in college usually that says free beer, bring your sneakers, something like that. And then, but it's usually the contact too, that awakening
Yeah.
of what this is going to be like. And people either love that and want more of it, or they say, okay, this isn't for me.
Well, you know what's funny? My I also went to high school in the same town I went to college. My third college. We can talk about that on a different show. Um, and
Only
after
three?
one of
Come
my
on.
match, yeah, well, after one of my matches, well, during the match, I noticed in the sideline was my old football coach, this guy, Coach Roy, and he's watching me, watching the team, whatever else. And after the game, I went up to say hello to him. He was doing something around the corner from the pitch, and he's like, Billy, where was that kid in high school? I played scared in pads. It's the funniest thing. I remember thinking back to football. I wasn't a confident football player. I played scared. And then I get to
Interesting.
playing rugby. I'm like, who needs pads? And yeah, you come into your own somehow. It's just people just figure it out.
It's interesting. So that's something I've talked to Alex Magleby a lot about, and how that makes rugby a tough sell sometimes for parents, because the American idea of rugby is, oh, it's like football. And then if you say, well, we
Yeah.
know football is dangerous, but your kid should play this other sport that's like that, but not wear a helmet, it's a tough sell.
It's a huge sell, and it's. I've been in those meetings. I was part of the Georgia youth program, short time getting it going, very little part, and there would be meetings with parents at the schools, and they're, well, why should our kid play? And we try to explain to them, so yeah, there's going to be injuries, but there's less catastrophic injuries compared to American football, even soccer. Um, but you're protected. You're taught how to tackle properly so you don't hurt yourself, and that's a lot of us learned that the hard way, including
Yeah.
myself.
It's weird now because I've almost totally broken up with the NFL, but every now and then I watch something and I find myself being like, "You can't oh yeah, you can do
You can do that, yeah.
that." So tell us about what you're doing now. I listened to you on the USA Happy Hour. There's what's the latest iteration of the show? Is it more than one now? Where can people find you and where can they listen to you?
Yeah. So the show is US Rugby Happy Hour Live. I'm gonna let you in on something. Not every show is live. In order to
What?
get guests, and I know it's odd. 9 p.m. Eastern usually on Wednesday nights, and it's odd when we have a guest from in Europe, and somehow they're up at 2 in the morning. They're not. That one we record. So so we can be so US Rugby Happy Hour Live is we like yourself. We cover everything US Rugby. That's why we said US Rugby, not USA Rugby, because it's not just USA Eagles. It's Major League Rugby, it's college rugby, it's professional rugby, and it all spawned off of the earlier iteration of American Rugby Rising, which is Eagles Overseas. From covering only overseas players, now we've spread out over to America as well. So overseas in America, the podcasts they run from 30 minutes to an hour long. We at times will have two guests. This season we're down to one guest. We just want to concentrate on the one guest and maybe keep them longer than 30 minutes. And the podcast can be listened to on every podcast player and also on YouTube. The video version is available in case you want to look at my beautiful face when it's on. But also, there's a new version of the show in the works, which we're hoping to come out with in 2026, which will hopefully expand the brand of U.S. Rugby as well outside of the community that you and I both know very well.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really great, dude. By the way, you've had some amazing guests on. Can you give us some of the highlights, some of the people that you were like, wow, I can't believe we got them.
Oh, well, Ilona Mar, obviously.
That was a
But
big
we
one.
got her before the whole world knew who Ilona Mar was. But got her. She already had, I think, 1 million followers. And after our show, she went up to a couple million. I mean, way, way after our show, but still, it was after our show.
There's a
Uh, you
cause and
know,
effect here.
exactly. Perry Baker is one. I mean, I'm talking about Sevens players right now, but Mike Friday, the former USA Sevens head coach, who's just such a great guy to talk to. And so when we start getting those guys on, it makes you feel good about what
He
we're
was
doing,
really
right? Like
forthcoming
yourself.
too. He was really forthright and kind of didn't
Oh yeah,
hold he didn't hold back. That was a great interview.
yeah. And there's some stuff that I wish I could we wish we could have posted more teasers about it so people would hear this and this and that, because I mean it's a hard sell for rugby in the United States, as you know, for people to listen to an hour long show.
Mm.
This one they definitely will. I'm sure they will, but but that is just
Note to
other
self.
guesses exactly. World rugby people, talking about the World Cup coming to the United States in 31. You mentioned Alex Magleby. He is a great talk. He's so
Mm.
informational. Dallin Stanford, of course, has been on many times. Will Hooley. And there was one thing I love when I meet these guys finally in person. I ran into Todd Clever in Chicago, and you were in
Yeah.
Chicago as well that weekend. And the instant gratification you get from these guys is how much they appreciate what we do. And
Mm.
it wasn't me going up, "Hey, Mr. Clever, hey." He's like, he sees me go, "Bill." I'm like, "Hey," like that. And so
Wow.
the instant he notices you and he says, "Thank you, man. We really do appreciate what you do. Thank you so much. Love the shows and whatever else." I don't know if Todd actually listens to the pods, but that's okay. I'll give him a free pass. But even at the event Saturday before the Ireland Chicago game, I sat on the Rugby Rants pod, and I was sitting next to these old Eagles. And 100% honest with you, I didn't even recognize a couple of them at first, but they were saying to me, "Hey, man, I'm sorry. I saw you in the bathroom. I meant to say hello. I didn't realize it was you, Bill." I'm like,
Wow.
"I know." I get some goosebumps. I was like, okay, these guys pay attention. So it's just great to get that instant gratification from these the rugby guys who really appreciate what we do.
That was a really fun show there at Reggie's, and there were Eagles standing room only too, over by
Yeah.
the bar too. That was
Oh, I
quite
know.
an
You could
event.
hear?
No, dude, to be fair, we couldn't really hear much, but, but I had a very lively table though. It was very fun.
Yeah.
Um, so the USA men just kind of wrapped up an up and down autumn series. We ended kind of on a high note. What's your sort of overall takeaway from these November tests? And if you want to include the ones leading up to it, we had a disappointer against Canada, and then kind of a nice little moment against Samoa. But then of course these in a row. So what's your overall takeaway from the state of USA rugby right now?
Well, that last game against Romania was a boost, right? Going into the offseason, you have to have at least a win. Does it take away from the other losses? No, but it is. It wasn't as bad of a window as I think a lot of us thought it was, or it is. Those are all matches other than Scotland that USA could have won.
Mm,
All right, they had Georgia, they lost to Georgia. Canada should have beaten Canada. There's no reason for that early in the year, and obviously that wasn't the November window. Um, but the team is there. They seem to have an identity now. I feel like the team, the players are starting to realize what the identity of this team is, and that's what Scott Lawrence has really been pushing them for years since he took over. I, I've also I'm all on board with what Scott Lawrence is doing, but I also have my doubts as well. I mean, how long will USA Rugby hold on to him if he doesn't start winning games?
right.
And I know, and we can all yell at the blue in our face about why isn't so and so playing? Why isn't Jama Nana Schultz, whatever else? There's a lot of different reasons, and some I've heard about. Others don't want to be in the mix. Some are injured. Jama's injured, for instance. Others were away. There's some players. I think Joe Mano, or whatever, in the summer he wasn't available. It wasn't he didn't want to play. He was available. He just wasn't available. David Anu at one point was rumored to not be available, but he was, even though he didn't play, which is interesting because they weren't playing during the last two matches. I'm like, why weren't you with USA? Anyway,
That was weird.
but there's a lot of quality players now. There's certain positions that we are definitely short on, right? We need locks. We need tall locks. Nothing against the guys that are playing now. They're great athletes, but they're more loose forwards. All right, we've got a
Mm,
lot of depth there. Our front row, better and better. Caleb Geiger, I was not sold on him. Free Jacks, wherever else. I just didn't see what Scott Lawrence saw him. And
really?
he's turning himself into a proper hooker and a big dude. When you've seen him, when that guy runs, there's no tackling that dude. He gets that ball on the fly, and I'm like, I'm getting out of the way. I'm sitting on the couch
Yeah.
watching the game.
Business decision.
Exactly. Skill levels picking up. But the main thing with Scott was like fitness. Yeah, we have to, the skills are important, but fitness. I was pissed, Dave. I just, the game against Georgia was, I was screaming at the TV, why are we kicking so much? Whatever else. And I know Ruben pretty well, and I was really hard on Ruben in some of my posts. And it's like, Ruben, why? And I know it's not just him making stuff up. This is the game
Yeah.
plan. Scott Lawrence's game plan. But I was so frustrated because that's a game they could win. And when we had ball in hand, the team was really good. Every game we have ball in hand, which we didn't have much against Scotland, they have a better chance of winning. And I just don't know why we're not doing that. So USA Rugby, I think it doesn't seem like it, but it's in a good place. We're getting there. I think this next year will really show what we have learned and where we have progressed, because now we're going to have the world, whatever this, the nations champions, whatever that thing's called, and we're playing a set of tier 2 nations. All of them except maybe one we should beat each time, and hopefully that will
The
show next year.
you mentioned the kicking. There was obviously the kick at the end of that match against Georgia that was just.
Fiasco.
I'm not saying we were going to win if we didn't do that. I'm saying we absolutely just could not do that at the time,
Right.
and lots of.
Well, again, ball in hand. We gave him back with no time on the clock. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he didn't know, he didn't realize it, how much time was left, whatever else. But come on.
I mean, so that was the game with the 7-1 split as well. It
Yeah.
looked like we were kind of out on our feet there at the end. That final score that they tried like 20 minutes earlier, that probably wasn't a try. He's getting tackled. And this time we were just falling away like pins. Like, were you questioning the 7-1 at the time? How do you think that pulled out for us?
No, I didn't at the time. Georgia has a huge pack, obviously. So fresh legs in the pack would be huge, but it still didn't. They didn't perform well against the Georgia pack either way, no matter how fresh their legs were. I don't think it hurt the backs much because we're looking at swapping out a scrum half. I would have preferred to swap out maybe a center or something.
Mm,
Nothing against our centers, just because scrum halves move quite a bit, but honestly, you see scrum halves go 80 plus minutes every game. It's just, and I thought other than the kicking game, Ruben was playing pretty well. I think he's really coming into himself as a international test player and the go-to scrum half for us. Now, there's others out there. Hopefully, you're going to pick it up. But yeah, I was okay with the 7-1. It's interesting. I've seen that more and more now as far as the bench goes. It used to be, we have to have 5 forwards or whatever else, and the big guys. I think it was the right idea. I don't know if it really helped, but it was the right idea.
You mentioned that Scott Lawrence really, focuses on fitness, and so you obviously need that if you're going to go with a 7-1 split.
Yeah.
Maybe he pulled the trigger a little too soon, but is that what we're headed for? Do you think that's kind of the game plan going forward?
No, I just think that was. You mean as far as fitness or the 7-1 split kind of deal?
Yeah, the 7-1 split.
Yeah, no, I think it depends on the team.
Mm.
Again, Georgia's big corn-fed mules in that back, so I think it was just more for that game. Romania, I forget what the split was there. Do you remember what it was?
I think it was
wasn't 7-1, but
No,
6-2.
no.
Okay, so a couple extra backs. Yeah, but
And in the Romania match, Mitch did not play, didn't make it off the bench. The only player didn't make it in off the bench. He seems to have fallen out of favor with Scott Lawrence.
well, I don't think it's fallen out of favor. I think it's more Toby Fricker has really proven he's the go-to fullback. And I guess in close matches, Fricker played great. And I thought he was my player of the whole tour in that autumn window. He's really stepped it up as a player goes. Maybe that one game back at Bristol has helped him. Who knows? But that might be what's leaving Mitch out, and that might be a reason. I don't know why Mitch has made a move in his MLR team. Yeah,
a move that I'm happy about, by the way.
Yeah, me too. Good guy.
Interesting, because Toby Fricker, I think if you asked him, I don't think he'd say fullback is his preferred position. But do you think he's going to be nailed on for the USA from his performance in the last few weeks?
Yeah, he's going to be the go-to 15. The way he is fearless in retrieving high balls, his field awareness is great too with the ball when he's kicking, which he doesn't do too often. But his approach into the line when he attacks with the full back line, it's quick and he's got some size. I think he's faster than Mitch. I just think he has that high ball ability more than Mitch does. And nowadays, test teams kick a lot. They get that ball up in the air. They want mistakes. They want to, have an easy 50-50 or 70-30. Some teams are thinking you don't get that with Fricker. Fricker gives the USA a better chance.
And like they say in the NBA, you can't teach height.
Yeah, right. Mitch isn't listening, right?
I guess I'll find out.
Yeah.
Like I said, up and down performance. It seems like we're inconsistent. You've already mentioned, obviously people, especially after the Scotland match, people already, out in the Twitterverse, people calling for Scott Lawrence's head. I think you and I are trying to have a reasonable approach to it, but do you think he's in the hot seat? Do you think there are conversations happening in rooms where, he might be called in to have a little chat about the last month?
Hot seat? No, not yet. He's going to be given a chance. Don't forget, we have 6 years until the 31 World Cup. I usually don't see international head coaches last that long. I believe, if my information is correct, some coaches do last a long time. He could be out either way, at some point, whether for personal reasons or whatever. But he'll be the first to say it. We need to win games. And for many reasons, he's not saying it the same way a college football coach would say, because if they don't win games, you're out. Right. He's saying it for a couple of reasons. I don't think anyone in USA Rugby believes red, white, and blue more than Scott Lawrence does. So this is a pride thing for him as well. So he obviously wants that team to win. He's not just doing it because it's a paycheck, he calls Kiger big American beef or whatever he's called. So he's like America. So I think next year is going to be telling more than anything else. Possible PNC, the world competition, whatever else. We're going against all tier 2 nations, right? And it's going to be a big that's going to be who's going to decide. He's going to be around for another year, in my opinion. If we don't do well, middle of the pack, lose more than we win, that his head could be on the chopping block.
Well, we're currently ranked 16th in the world, our men. Do you think that's pretty reasonable? Do you think that's a pretty good, some people don't believe in the rankings at all. Do you think that's pretty accurate, though?
Yeah, I'm still wrapping my brain around the calculations behind some matches. Hold on, we just beat whatever. And it's like, how come we haven't moved up? But there's reasons for it. Yeah, I think we're in the right place. 15, 14, 16. We don't want to go any lower than 16, obviously. We nearly fell out of the band for the World Cup pool picking. But yeah, I say we're in the right location. 14 to 15, or I would rather be 15, but yeah.
Spain and Uruguay are right ahead of us. Georgia has moved up to 11th, and then there's kind of the big ones you'd expect. Right below us now, Samoa has dropped to 17th, Chile, then Tonga, and then Portugal, and then Romania. That feels kind of right. I feel like get a round robin. That's
Yeah.
kind of probably who we're beating. Although Samoa might, they might be waking up right now.
Well, yeah, Samoa's going through a lot of turmoil right now with their nation coaches. Coach what quit right before Repiage or whatever it was, and again, next year, I'm not too worried about right now. Next year is what's going to worry me more if we don't up it up. And what I mean by that, we're going to be playing all these nations: Chile, Uruguay, Georgia again, whoever else. People complain, well, what we need to play tier one nations. Yeah, I love playing Scotland, whatever else, but we need to consistently beat these two tier nations to prove that we should be playing tier one nations. Even if we
Yeah.
lose again to Scotland 85-0, as long as we're beating these tier two nations consistently, 8 out of 10 times, whatever, that I'll feel better about it.
Well, Scott Lawrence's big thing is the moonshot, really setting those expectations high. I wonder if our first goal should be to be the best tier two nation rather than aiming to be one of the top five tier one nations.
Yeah, that's a good point. But we still need to beat these tier two nations. There's those steps, right? You're
Yeah.
not going to get if you want to get to the top six, let's say top five in the World Cup, well, you got to beat those little teams. I'm sorry, not
Yeah.
little teams, but you know what I'm saying. The smaller countries, especially whatever else, you got to beat those other nations. And I think the moonshot is part of that. It's okay.
Mm.
These are the steps. Yeah, we want to get there, but in order to get there is we need to win these games. We need to win. There was a couple of years ago, we won a lot more games than we lost. I don't know if you remember that. It was a great year. We could get back
Yeah.
to that, and that's what we need consistently in order to get to that level we want to get to.
There was also a problem with just not getting enough fixtures for the Eagles for a while. It seems like that's on the up and up. I feel like that we're getting more action.
Yeah, and that's extremely important for many reasons: sponsors, broadcasting, et cetera. Because you go to a sponsor and say, "Hey, Delta, can you sponsor us?" And they go, well, "What's the calendar like? What's well, I don't know. We have games, I think, in July." It's like you and I going out and getting sponsors for pods. I don't know. But
And
now
if
there's
you'd like to,
and
no.
yeah, exactly. Let's take this moment. But the fact that we're going to have all these matches consistently now is going to make it easier to bring in a maybe a outside of the OTT broadcaster, a network broadcaster, a cable
Mm.
broadcaster instead of like Flow or Rugby Network, whoever else. Having the calendar will help that better because they'll be able to market it better and say, yes, this is every year we're playing these games, these weeks and these games.
It is difficult. Our Americans who are playing in France because they don't stop playing and they don't
No,
let you go because it's time for a little nice international window. No, we're paying your paycheck. You're playing this weekend.
and they're paying them well. I mean, it's French. Those French leagues pay more than any other league in the world. It's
Yeah.
other than maybe 360 I've heard, but uh, like the
We'll
top
see.
14 is one. Yeah, top 14 is one of the highest paying. You're going back to Manu Samoa, Samu Manoa. Hold on, yeah, Samu, the old Eagles number 8. He went from Northampton Saints to Toulouse, Toulon. Sorry, jeez, I'm all over the place. And he at that point was the highest paid number 8 in the world. A
Wow.
USA player at that point, the highest paid number 8 in the world,
Oh,
and whether
that's
that was a
great bar
mistake or not
trivia.
for him to make that move was it, in the Toulon owner had to pay Northampton money to get him out of the contract. So one of those
Wow.
like in
They don't
soccer where
care.
you see him pay for the rights. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
good. I don't know where I was going with that, but that was just an interesting note.
Well, it's interesting. So, I think you and I have a pretty realistic, idea of where USA men's rugby is right now, and I do see some improvements. But you and I are also we've tasked ourselves with growing the game in terms of just popularity in general. Until a couple weeks ago, the biggest rugby game I'd been to were a couple MLR finals in Chicago. They said there was 10,000 people. I didn't think it looked like 10,000, but maybe it was.
Yeah.
But either way, that's the ceiling for a game I saw. The USA Eagles probably couldn't get 60,000 at Soldiers Field, but the All Blacks and Ireland sure did. And it was,
Yeah.
you had up and down thoughts about the game, but you and I were both there. What were some good things about it for USA Rugby and what kind of was left lacking?
Well, good. The overall city, the hosting of Chicago, I thought was great. There's a lot to do in Chicago, even on a rainy fall day, even though it wasn't raining, which is great. There's so much to do. There's so many pubs, so many Irish pubs, so many this and that. So it's a great location for fans to come in who like rugby, and it's easy to move around the city as well, trains, that kind of thing. So as far as the city presentation went, great. Soldier Field, 68,000, whatever it was, I think is a great hosting stadium for a World Cup match. We'll say it's small. Everyone knows that. I don't know how you get away with having kind of a narrow field like that, but it may be underneath the restrictions for international pitch. But they are very capable of hosting a great international match for the world to see, and they proved it back in 2016. I was at that match too. Phenomenal. Now, part of it might have been because there were so many drunk Irish fans out there that we have nothing to lose. We've never beaten New Zealand. Let's go for it. And it was an epic match. Then they beat them. It just didn't have that feel in the stadium this year. A past life of mine, I was the video operations manager for the Atlanta Braves in Atlanta, and so I ran the audio and video boards. I had a crew doing it, not myself at the time, but and the entertainment is very important. And what I felt during that match was the audio video crew was trying to do kind of a football program instead of a rugby program. And as you know, I think you mentioned at one point, you loved it when the song broke out in the crowd. And from where I was sitting, I didn't hear anything like that. Matter of fact, my buddy Peter, who flew in from Dublin for the match, he tried to break out in some tune that they sing over there in Aviva all the time, and like no one sang. And he was like, "Oh, come on!" So it's just the stadium. And honestly, I think World Rugby dropped the ball by not demanding the stadium bring in a PA announcer who knows rugby, okay, or for the stadium announcer, we got to make sure the mics are working. How do you? I mean, and that's my full-time gig is sports broadcasting. So you always test things over and over and over again. So the fact that we didn't have the replay feed for the TMO and the referees working on the boards is inexcusable. I'm sorry. Yeah. This is the ultimate level. I wouldn't call it Super Bowl by any means. This was the ultimate level and the right time to showcase again what we could do here in America, and then having USA get destroyed against Scotland didn't help at all. So not only people saying, okay, why are they hosting? USA's getting killed. And that stadium performance was lackluster, ran out of beer, whatever else. It wasn't good timing. But people that were in the 16 know it could happen.
The lack of a ref mic, the lack of the replays. Like I heard some people, they sort of brought neutrals or people who hadn't been there for this experience before to this, and a big thing was, guess what? You think you like football? Wait till you see how fast rugby moves. It doesn't stop. And then what happens?
Stops.
Long stoppages.
But the game itself wasn't. Yeah, I went back and watched the match when I got home, and the game itself wasn't great. It was slow. But people in that stands, I don't think there were many people in that stands that don't know rugby, that haven't seen rugby, not that level. You go to a Major League Rugby game, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people out there that, it's someone's boyfriend, someone's girlfriend come along, or you brought your neighbor because you had an extra ticket or something. Like I do almost every game. I always try to bring someone who hasn't been to a game yet. But it was just, I think, bad timing, and it didn't showcase it well to the international fans and media. But World Rugby, I thought, dropped the ball on that. That's not USA Rugby. USA Rugby doesn't host these things. They're involved, but they're not the ones doing it.
Yeah. After the fact, Bernard Jackman was saying that he didn't think that the camera operators knew rugby either. Like when they were trying to look at what plays in the comms booth, they were saying, this isn't what we're asking for.
Well, that too. And the funny thing is, I've ran into Nick Benson, from Major League Rugby, the CEO of Major League Rugby, and I've asked him, it's like, is there a committee that works with the broadcasters? Because in any city, the crews that are doing it, these aren't rugby people. They don't know the nuances of rugby, so they don't know, okay, the camera's going to go here. The director doesn't say, hey, get this and this and that, right? They're not calling the right shots because the camera guys don't know what to shoot, and the directors don't know what to call, right? So in that showed, again, in the international level, again, I can see it in Major League Rugby, but not the internet, not that big game that they're pushing for years for everyone around the world to watch.
Yeah. Was it ultimately a step back for, growing the game, growing for casual fans in the United States? Do you think people turned away and said, geez, I'm not going back to that next time?
Yeah, it could have been a step back, but like I was saying, I think, in my opinion, I don't think there were a lot of casual fans involved in that game. Again, the ticket prices are higher.
Yeah, that's true. I can't can't believe they ran out of beer. That's
Well,
insane.
ran out of Guinness because the stuff they had was the worst stuff ever. I'm not a Miller Lite kind of guy. I'm more of a IPA kind of dude. But Guinness, whatever, was great. They ran out of Guinness, and they had like
It's
margaritas in a cup. It
incredible.
was like I couldn't do
Yeah.
it. It was the first rugby game I ever went to where I had one beer,
Oh man.
even while
They,
playing.
Ireland are playing. They ran out of stout. Would you like this flavored malt beverage, sir? No, no.
What the heck?
Do you remember in 2019 when Japan was getting ready for their World Cup? I think back in 2018, World Rugby sent a group over there, and they were like, "Okay, so how much beer are you going to have?" And they were like, "Don't worry, it's this
Yeah,
ridiculous amount. Don't worry." And World Rugby was like, "Nope, that's not going to
need
do it.
more.
That amount you've got there, double it."
Yeah.
And apparently, it was still a near thing. Well, anyway, you and I are both Free Jacks fans. It's really nice to have best team in MLR right in our sort of backyards.
Hmm.
Things are getting ramped up. I talked to TK a couple days ago. He said they're going to start doing announcements. I think it's every 3 days. The roster is almost set. What are you hearing, and are you getting excited for a season that we're told is going to happen?
Well, yeah, I've had it on good word that it's definitely going to happen. And there was another meeting recently, I think just last week. And once that meeting was over, you started seeing teams announcing signings, more signings.
Yep.
Chicago's been announcing them all the time. And Will McGee was on our show recently, and he was just like, he's a good guy. He was like, we don't, whatever happens, we just got to build for the year, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I get it. Free Jack's interesting to me because they're the ones announcing things all the time. And so when they weren't announcing stuff, I was a little worried. Like, okay,
Yeah.
this isn't good. But we're okay. What we got 5 teams now. I have to do my math right.
There's six.
So
We're at six.
6, whatever. Um, Utah was one that we were hoping it would hold on. They're a good
Yeah.
program. They have a great youth program out there in Utah, that area. So losing them isn't great. But it's going to be okay. Again, people around the world are all freaking out because of the World Cup coming up. It's going to be okay. And there's a redirect of the league as well, like more or less international slots available. I'm torn on that myself. I want the highest quality game on the field,
Hmm.
but I also want Eagles to get better and improve. You see an Anthem scooping up more and more players, bringing them in, especially the players who were left out in the cold from San Diego and Houston and NOLA and Miami. They're getting scooped up. Some are getting scooped up by Anthem. And I know they're going to be announcing tomorrow another player on our show.
Oh,
By the way, everybody, take a listen to
nice.
that. I said pretty please, and they said okay, fine. Uh,
I
but
should try that.
yeah, it's okay. It's my worry now is sponsorship dollars are dropping because they're going from 16 games a year. I'm just throwing out there. Now they're going to be down to 10 or something, plus playoffs, let's say. And so sponsor who's paying for 8 home games is now like, okay, hold on, we're not going to give you 100,000. We're going to give you 60 or something because you're only going to half the games
Right.
now. That's going to affect player salaries. A player is going to make as much now because there's less games. So it could hurt them as well. So places like New England, Seattle, Chicago are great. If New England decides one day, says, hey, we can't do it, league's done. All right. Because they're one of the most successful as far as fan engagement goes in the league. Merchandise sales are high. Social media burns everybody until this offseason. Chicago has learned from them. New England learned from Seattle. Seattle has a great fan engagement. Also, I was one of the first Free Jacks fans to actually see the Free Jacks play, other
Yeah.
than the cup they had before that, because I went to the match in Seattle the week before the whole league shut down, and I brought
Oh
COVID back to
wow.
Boston. Uh,
Thanks.
yeah, you're welcome. But they, Mags, all the guys were there from the team at the point, and they were sitting right in front of me, and they were taking it in. They were sitting with the owner of Seattle. They were learning, okay, this is
Mm.
cool. Let's do this and that. So they brought home a lot of the stuff they learned from not just Seattle, but they had games in Vegas and everywhere else prior to that. But we're going to be okay. The league will expand again, right? If not one or two of those teams coming back, not this year, obviously. And again, just to reiterate, if New England or Seattle, at least those two go under, I think that's something to really worry about.
Yeah. Are you hearing anything about, people were kind of wishful thinking, trying to get a team back into existence in Canada, much in an anthem sort of way that maybe they would work with the Canadian Rugby Union? Are you hearing anything about that? It seems too late at this point.
Oh, it's too late for 26. I'd assume it's too late. We need to get a schedule out at some point. And you're seeing a few Canadians being signed to American teams, but I do believe that is something that will be in the works for the following season.
Mm.
All right. Yeah.
I also heard a couple of years ago, I heard, oh, they're definitely going to expand into Mexico. I'm guessing if that's real, that's also on hold for now. But
Yeah.
yeah, the new restrictions about international player spots and then changing the classification of Canadian players from domestic to international. I am worried about the sort of the collateral damage for our Canadian brethren. Obviously, the Free Jacks had lots of them. We've held on to some,
Yeah.
but across Canada, that was bad news.
Well, in my opinion, was it wouldn't hurt them as much as they think it will. I mean, right now, not a lot of them are signing, so I could be taking those words back. But I feel like the Canadians who are on rosters last year are starters. Most of them, like I look at the Free Jacks, and most of their Canadians are first side starters every time they're healthy. I feel like those players are going to be fine, right? It's the Canadians who were maybe coming off the bench for 20 minutes every game, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? They could be left out in the cold.
Who are some MLR players that you're looking forward to, maybe sort of making the leap this year? Maybe some younger players who started to show some things for you towards the end of last year. By the way, we're gonna miss some of the Free Jacks. Leroux Milan scored 2 tries in 2 championships for us. He's signed with the Sharks now. He's over in the URC. We're gonna
Yeah.
miss him.
Oh, and that's a good sign for the league as well. These players are improving; they're getting better where other leagues are noticing them, right?
Yeah.
Jack Ascaro over there in France as a medical joker with Stade Francais, or however you say
Hmm.
it. And Tonga's with Leicester. He's probably not going to come back. He'll probably if he starts getting some real Premiership minutes. He's been in a cup match so far. He could stay there. And I actually, honestly, I want to see some of our Americans stay over in Europe for a bit. I
Hmm.
want them for their
Just
for
get
their
that experience.
experience as well, and to get that kind of training. But for younger guys, you look at that Storty, Eric Storty out of Charlotte. I think he's so good. He's getting better and better. A college kid still, or just was. Then you look at Bisak, Dom Bisak.
Yes.
I mean, come on, college kid. But it's
Yeah.
funny to say that because I don't remember. Not long ago, our team was full of college kids, the USA team.
That's true.
so, so to see that's great.
Yeah,
I'm excited
Bisag,
about him as well.
he was my player of the autumn. You mentioned Toby Fricker, but I loved every minute I saw from Bisag
Yeah.
the last 3 games especially, or at least
Yeah,
2.
yeah. I'm excited. I know he's not one of the young guys, but Tavit Lepete moving to Chicago, I think is going to be great for him at center and great for USA. But you'll go back to like Rick Rose. I'd love to see him grow into himself and become a solid lock for USA or
Mm,
move to the loose forwards. Seth Smith, I really like that kid. I really do. The hooker, actually out of Anthem now. He was playing his ARP rugby down at Life in Atlanta this past year. But he's an exciting future hooker for USA. He's got some really cool, blonde hair with the what do you call it, ponytails or something. But he's got a bright future and a great kid. He's been on the show. I think you've met him before as well, I believe. He's just so yes, sir, thank you, sir, kind of thing, and he's got the right mentality. And he's one of the few guys that have come through an MLR academy program to start in Major League Rugby. He's still the youngest
great
guy to
point.
ever play in a Major League Rugby game. So I'm looking forward to those guys.
Oh, I'm hoping that's the tip of the iceberg too. Obviously, other that's probably one of our biggest issues now is we're looking way ahead to this World Cup is just the academy systems, the pathways in place. They
Mm,
need to be stronger, right?
yeah, they do, and more teams like Free Jacks have a nice system with their independence. Chicago has their pathways program, the performance team they're playing right now. So a lot of their MLR players are on their performance squad who also they kind of like the ARP. They compete in the Midwest, but then they have their own high level matches. I think they just played the Free Jacks Independence team, one of the teams recently. Um, so you need to see that more and more. You got to get people in there. Nice thing about the Free Jacks is they have also a women's program. Obviously they're not going
They
to jump
do.
into the Free Jacks senior side, but it really helps them and improve the women's game.
And we had the debut of the WER this past year. I didn't give you any heads up about this, so I'm not going to spring it on you, but I really enjoyed that competition. Do you happen to know, is there collaboration between that league and MLR? Obviously, it should be all hands on deck right now, right?
It should be, and that I believe they really want to try to be independent and do it on their own.
Yeah.
What the Boston team did last year was have a couple games at Quincy and then move down to Pawtucket, which is great, I guess, for a good fan base. But it's in the very beginning of the year. I think at some point, I personally think it'd be great for them to team up, not as a sister club or brother club, whatever else, but to help with finances at least. Can
Mm,
they work together? I know a bunch of Free Jacks fans bought season tickets or bought tickets to the WER games, which is great. I'm not sure how the attendance was at the other matches, but the finals was really well played, a very, very good match, and the attendance there was
yeah.
pretty good. So we'll see. It's no idea what the salaries are for the players. I'm assuming many of them are just
It's
maybe
minuscule.
get paid to play games. Yeah. So we'll see where that goes. 1 year in, it'd be nice if they brought in some, the David Beckham of some sport to play.
Yeah.
Hey, this is retired so and so.
Well, the PWR just announced it. I think Bristol just signed Rohe Demant. That's another huge
Yeah,
thing
she
for
did.
them. And in fact, I rely on you week in and week out because one of the great things you do is talk about our Eagles overseas. You're always listing all our women who are in the PWR every week, which is a long list, and I
It is.
love
It's getting
checking that
longer.
out. I really depend on it. Yeah, and can you talk about that competition at all? Are you able to watch the games? They don't necessarily make it easy, but I know you're at least following the competition.
They're scattered all over the place. There's each week this season. There's 2 matches at least on the WPER YouTube page, which are live, and every week it's different teams. Obviously, I forget who's this weekend, but there's a good potential of a matchup with a lot of Eagles going against each other. Those are the ones I love the most. When Sale
Yeah,
plays Loughborough, and you've got all of Sale's 6 players or whatever, and Loughborough 6 players, and they end up being on the same field together. Erica Jarrell Searcy was on our pod recently, and she was just talking about the competition level, how good it is. Because
yeah.
England, #1 team in the world, all their players in this league. Wales, Canada, they're all in this league, and they're bringing in some Southern Hemisphere players too. So it only makes them better.
She was great on your
And
show, by the way. That was great.
yeah, she was amazing. Yeah, she was so fun, and you can tell she loves talking about rugby too. So that's great, and the whole atmosphere over there. But they love it. With Sale, a lot of good players in that team, and she's enjoys playing with all of them. Great friends, and some become partners down the road in life, and it's just good for them. And I hope the PWR doesn't do what they've been threatening to do, and that's cutting back big time on international slots, like MLR did.
Really? Oh man, I had not
Yeah, they've
heard
been
that.
talking about it, and my argument with them has been, you are making your England players better by playing the best players in the world every day, every training with the best, every weekend playing against the best players in the world.
Yeah,
Why would you diminish that by taking away all the Canadians, all the USA players, not all of them, but most of them, Scottish players, everywhere else? And now who are you playing against? You're playing against a lot of other English players or just a second tier players.
right. Wow. I'm gonna find a patch of sand and stick my head right in that and pretend I never even heard this. Bill, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. But before I let you go, put on your USA Rugby, bigwig hat. Let's say you're completely in charge. It's you making the decisions from here until the Men's World Cup rolls around. What is your number one priority? What do we have to get right to make that event a success?
Well,
Order 'em or stone.
American-based rugby podcasters have to get paid more, a lot more. It
Yes,
should be at least
number one priority.
7 figures, uh, just straight up cash. Uh, well, we got to keep going on the youth program. It has to pick up. We need to get more youth involved. You see it. You look at guys like Ryan Matthews, who retired a number of years ago, whatever. Nate Oxberger. They played as kids. And you can just tell the difference in their level of play at the test level, their skills, the little things they learn. As much as I love guys like Pono Davis, Tonga Coffee, whatever else, they didn't. Tonga had a little experience playing rugby earlier, but Pono Davis didn't. So you see, he lacks some of the skills that you just learn and you just run with unconsciously, right? Unconsciously, that's not the
Mm.
right word, but unconsciously, Uh, but you just subconsciously. There you go. Uh, but that's what you want from your players. You're not going to really get that from bringing in this basketball center from North Carolina, and okay, you're going to play lock now. He just doesn't.
Yeah.
Learn. He doesn't know the intricacies, the skills, the little skills you learn as a 5-year-old. You put more balls in hands of kids at a young age. Um, they
And
need to market.
theoretically, some of our Eagles in that like the opening match at that World Cup in our 23, there's going to be people who are maybe in high school right now. There's going to be 17, 18-year-olds.
Absolutely. Well, Storty, the guys I mentioned earlier, they'll be 31 players. They'll be the veterans at that point, right?
Yeah.
We won't have AJ. We probably won't have half the guys you see right now. Ruben DeHaas will probably be around still. A few others maybe too, but I can't imagine AJ McGinty will be around much past the next World Cup.
Mm.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, we got to get him younger, get him playing earlier, and have them make a decision between, say, American football or basketball, whatever, and have them play rugby in college too. That's tough as well because there's no money in it, obviously. But then also, I think what USA Rugby needs to do is get involved with Major League Rugby, help them publicize the game, get them outside of paywall, get more games on national TV. I need to walk into my local bar over here. I want to see a rugby game on. It could even be a premiership, whatever else. Just have it
Yeah.
on one of the TVs. That way, someone's walking by. Oh, these guys are killing each other, whatever else. Get it in front of their eyes. No one
Yeah.
casually is walking by a Flow Rugby computer and going, "Oh, look at that!" It doesn't happen. It needs to be in front of their eyes. And damn it, I've had conversations with TNT Sports so many times with their content acquisition people. I'm saying, guys, right now is where a great sports network like TNT Sports could get in on the bottom level. Equated to Lionel Messi. You can
Mm.
get Messi right now for $12,000. And as a 15-year-old, let's say, if you're going to get Lionel Messi, you get him for 12,000. If you get him at 32 years old, it's 200 million. Get into rugby now where it's 12,000 in America, and grow it to get it to 200 million. You know what I mean? Get in now, and TNT has premiership games, or they have a lot of rugby overseas. The TNT UK is the TNT America is just an off branch now.
Right. Right.
So I'm telling them, it's already on over there. Just simulcast the game here or something. Get it on your TV.
It's so
So
weird. I remember the very first MLR final. I was at a bar like they had the pub poker night or something like that, and I was like, "Say, and maybe one of these 10 TVs you can put the rugby final on." And every single person in the room was like, "The what? No
I know.
idea." Somebody came to fix our furnace this week, and I had the Australia match on, and he was like, "Oh, rugby," and I was like, "What?
Yeah.
How did you know?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, I lived in Australia for a year, so that's why."
There you go.
um, Bill, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for your time. I will put you on the hot seat for one final question. Only 6 teams. It's going to make a four-peat a little easier, right? Are we looking at a four-peat?
It's going to be even harder for the Free Jacks to 4-peat than it was a 3-peat.
Oh, so the same amount of talent concentrated in a smaller
Yes.
number of
So
teams?
now you're
Oh,
taking the
interesting.
best players from these other teams, and now you're moving them into a team like Chicago. I think it's Chicago's year. I think it's their
Mm.
season to win just by who they've been signing. And I say that now. If you ask me in 2 months after all the signings are done, I might have a different response because we haven't
Mm.
seen some of what the other teams are doing. Old Glory signed a couple of players. Seattle, we heard about one player so far. New England, a couple players so far, but we haven't heard about new signings. I was really hoping
No.
Ruben might end up in New England, that kind of thing. I was really hoping maybe Jama would end up in New England or whatever. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's players out there now. If you said these people signed up, I'd be like, oh yeah, absolutely. There's no reason, but they are the reigning champs. They are the ones that are to beat, right? I feel like at this point with the signings, it's Chicago's championship to lose.
They look very serious. Their social media isn't. It's been
On
firing.
December 2nd, I'm going to say something completely different in front of Mags, but still.
We all will. Um, Bill, this has been fantastic. Do you have any guests you want to plug or anything coming up that you want to hit before I let you go?
Yep. Tomorrow or this week we have the Anthem GM to talk about their signings coming up here soon, and just some. We're a weekly kind of thing. So our guests, I have no idea what's up next. Basically, it's topical, whatever's going on. We try to get someone on like that, and just been some great past guests as well. We talked about Erica Drell Searcy. Check out her podcast; she's great and funny. We had some fun, good laughs with that, and just going back from there. But yeah, that's where we are.
Oh, you started by talking about some of the sevens guests you've had. Did you see the HSP sevens? They're coming to New York.
Yeah,
There's gonna,
finally reachable for us. It's on the East
yeah,
Coast.
finally
Yeah,
a
it's gonna be
reason
good.
to go to
I've
New
been to
York.
that stadium. Yeah, I've been to that stadium a couple of times. It's in Jersey, but it's reachable. There's a station right there. There's great tailgating lots. So
Oh,
it's 20,000 seats. Hopefully, it doesn't look empty. But I
yeah.
think New York, they can fill it. It's easy to get in and out of from all the European countries. Hopefully people fly in for it. We'll see.
Ooh, this is the most excited I've ever been to go to New Jersey.
Usually we're excited to get out, but
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Bill Baker, you're the best. Thank you so much for your time and for being our second ever special guest. Really appreciate it.
my pleasure, man.
Catch you soon.
Later.
Bye.